Hi, thank you everybody for coming here today to listen to me talk about my ISM. My name is Jino Lee, I am in 12th grade now, and my ISM is, how can I pursue rock climbing? Okay, so what is rock climbing and why did I choose it? Many of you in the audience, when you think of rock climbing, might imagine some lanky man climbing on some ceiling with ropes, or you might even think of free soloing, which was made quite famous by this documentary over here featuring Alex Honnold. But when I'm talking about climbing, I'm mostly talking about bouldering. Oh. Okay, so what I do is bouldering, which is essentially climbing without ropes, but over a mat. 2 years ago, when I first ever went bouldering, I was so tired, my forearms were so tired that I literally couldn't press the off button on my phone. It just was not working. But within a month or two, I was really hooked. You could even say I was addicted. It says a lot about climbing and what it means to me when it's pretty much the only time during the day where I don't touch my phone for hours at a time. As you see up here, when I'm climbing, most of the time you see all these cool moves that I'm doing, but most of the time I'm actually falling. And that's actually why I love bouldering so much. Solving a boulder is like solving a puzzle where you're trying out different moves and different ways you can get to the top. And I find the process really satisfying and exhilarating to go through. But going back to my ISM question, pursue. What does it mean to pursue rock climbing? Now, there are many levels of pursuit in any hobby, any sport. The lowest level of involvement or pursuit in something is just participation. You are part of the community, you're involved, but you're not much more than that. The next level, and the level I wanted to be at for my ISM, is to give back to the community. In this case, aside from opening a new gym or creating a new product, the key way you can contribute to the rock climbing community is to help grow it. And going into my second year of climbing, as I was deciding my ISM, I wanted to do exactly that. For my entire climbing career, I've been standing on the shoulders of giants. The routes and gyms and communities I've enjoyed have all been set, built, and cultivated by others. And in these past years, as I've become more obsessed and passionate about climbing, it's become a deep-rooted want for me to give back and share this hobby one way or another. Okay, so my goals. My first goal to achieve this was to participate in competition climbing. My second was to diversify my climbing experiences, as I've only bouldered so far. And my last goal was to garner a community of climbers. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. Goal number 1, competition climbing. Competition climbing is usually split into 2 main disciplines, bouldering and lead climbing. We're going to ignore lead climbing for now since, lead climbing is essentially climbing up a massive wall with ropes while attaching ropes as you go. But because of space constraints in Hong Kong, it's pretty much non-existent here. And I mainly boulder and I don't have the endurance for it anyway. So we're going to be focusing on bouldering. So in bouldering competitions, I've explained already what bouldering is. You're given a set time limit to usually climb as many boulders as possible. And I decided to join an open competition for my first experience. So I joined the Attic V Cup. Attic V is the gym over in Wong Chuk Hang that a lot of kids here at THS climb at, and they held an open competition for everybody to join. Now the format was within 20 minutes, you have to solve 20 boulders as much as you can within an hour and 15 minutes. Now I joined the white level category with no age limit at all. So it's not the most competitive category, but there is no age limit, and I would be facing against adults. I thought I'd be fine since it wasn't the highest level, but turns out I was not. If you see over there in red highlight, I ended up placing around 20th, around midway through the pack, earning 180 points out of the 260 I needed to end up reaching finals. I was a far cry away, and I wanted to do better. Well, at least I did better than Nathan, who scored 0 points, but So I decided to join THS's climbing team to compete against kids, I'm still a kid, so I can do that. So over all of last year, we ended up going to 4 different competitions, 3 of which were qualifying rounds, and 1 of which was a finals round. During the qualifying rounds, I performed okay. I usually ranked within the top 10, but I never really got a podium finish. And going into the finals, I wanted to try and change that. Now, in competition, the physical aspect is undeniably very important, and that's what I've been focusing on pretty much in the past, getting stronger, training. I even took creatine supplements to try and get stronger, but I had neglected and not trained as much the mental aspect of climbing, which is just as important. So going into our finals competition, I decided to change something a little bit. Rather than focusing on the placement itself, I decided to focus mostly on climbing and climbing to the best of my ability. And doing that really allowed me to focus better and get rid of a lot of the nervousness, and I think I was able to perform at my best. In that competition, I ended up performing well enough to earn 3rd, which is still behind my younger brother, quite annoyingly, who climbed less than me. And as a team, we performed well enough to win the Hong Kong Inter-School U20 Boys Climbing Championship, the school's 2nd ever banner. But of course, that's just one aspect of my climbing experience. I wanted to try something outside of indoor bouldering, as you see here. So let's move on to goal number 2, diversify my climbing experience. In the past, the first year of my climbing, or I guess you could say it's mostly falling, I've been going 2 to 3 times a week minimum, but mostly only indoors. Now, indoor bouldering is convenient because you're mostly it's very accessible. You just pay for a membership, and there's safe mats beneath you. You don't need any equipment to go outdoors. And honestly, it was just way less scary than going outdoors. But I wanted to get some new experiences, step out of my comfort zone and go outdoors. But I hadn't the slightest idea on how I was going to do that. So I interviewed somebody. My first interviewer was this guy called Kevin J., who is a father, investor, and a climber. So originally I was going to talk to him because he worked as an actuary and now does investments, and I was going to talk to him about finance. It's kind of boring compared to climbing. But it turns out, after graduating uni in his 20s, he went around for around 2 years backpacking South Africa, Thailand, all over the world, mountaineering and also snowboarding and also climbing, which I thought was awesome. So I talked to him a little bit about that. And he was able to help me a lot, talking about his experience outdoor climbing, why he does it, and also how he does it safely. And from his experience, I decided to try a few different types of outdoor climbing. The first thing I ended up trying was outdoor bouldering. So same thing again. As you see, there are mats on the bottom. I went outside, climbed whatever rocks I found, or not exactly found online. And yeah, it was a great experience. However, it was very humbling. Outdoor climbing is very hard because, as you can see, the holds are no longer made out of plastic. They're made out of rock, which means they're a lot sharper, a lot harder to hold onto, and also more difficult to see. So indoors, I could climb at around a V6, a level 6, but outdoors, I could only climb at a level 3. So it was very humbling, but it was still very, very fun, and the scenery around was very beautiful. So it was a great experience to get out once in a while. The next thing I decided to try was free soloing. Not free soloing, sorry. Deep water free soloing. So this is free soloing, but there's water underneath you. So it's free soloing with a very, very good insurance policy. So I actually did this just last Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday before that. And I planned to go during the midday when the tide was the highest and I had the least chance of dying when I fell. However, a few hiccups came along the way. First of all, on the morning we were going, it suddenly started raining and then a thunderstorm warning came up, which was not ideal for a good few reasons. If you look at the trail we had to hike to get there, it's not that easy. We had to climb along the side of this mountain to get there, and there were ropes, and it was quite dangerous. And the rain also made it very slippery. Another thing was the lightning made the waters dangerous to fall into. And the last thing was the holds we were holding onto to climb on got really slippery, which essentially made chalk useless. But we went on anyway because I didn't want to fail my ISM and I did not have any more time. One last thing was, when we got there, after my first fall, I realized that there were jellyfish in the water, but I still needed some more footage, so I decided just not fall anymore, which was, yeah, I made a short video so you guys can see instead of just hear me talk.
Deep water it's so deep. One slip and you could die.
Hitting the water, you basically are hitting a concrete floor.
People have died.
People who know nothing about climbing think it's totally safe.
I'm really glad my parents aren't here right now.
Nice! Let's go, Jino! Oh, yeah!
That, as an experience, was probably the most freeing climbing experience I've ever had. It was like I didn't need to worry about anything other than the climbing. I entered like a state of flow that was just like indescribable. I was so locked in. I'm definitely gonna go again sometime. Now that I'm 18, I don't need to ask my parents about it anymore. Soon turning 18. Now, going on to my third goal, it was to garner a community of climbers. Last year, if you guys remember, I also did my ISM about climbing, and I had forced most of these people over here to come with me. Now, many of them still go climbing, though not forced by me anymore, but I wanted to do something more, expand the community at the Harbour School even further. So I talked to Mr. Alec about it. Mr. Alec runs the PE over here as well, and he's also a climber himself. And we talked about a few things, among which is Harbour School's climbing team, going on trips for climbing, and also how we could sustain climbing at the Harbour School in the future. One of the things that I'm really glad happened was because there were a lot of climbers in the incoming freshman year, and also there were a lot of people that I helped recruit as well. I'd like to say I was some part of this as well. There was enough demand at the Harbour School for climbing to warrant an international trip to Thailand just for it. Now, Thailand was incredible, I heard. I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. However, I think it says a lot that despite the Harbour School being such a small school, that we have pretty much the strongest school climbing team in Hong Kong, and we have enough people to go climbing in Thailand, that there truly is a climbing culture now here at THS. Oh, what? I was on the wrong. I had photos of Thailand. It did not update, unfortunately. And the next thing I wanted to do was to introduce climbing to new students, and also to keep it going once I'm gone. Since I'm a senior now, I'm graduating. What I decided to do, along with the help of my brother and Mr. Alec and the Foundry team, was to create a climbing board downstairs. If you guys don't know, the ground floor here is being renovated, and it's no longer, I don't think, going to be a swimming pool. And we got preliminary approval to build a climbing space down there. So we wanted to build a climbing board, not just for already existing climbers to train on, but for people to try climbing again for the first time and get climbing to be a permanent thing at the Harbour School, even when I graduate and even when the current climbers move on and leave the school. Oh, what? The climbing photos were here, actually. if I want to be remembered as anything at the school, I'd at least like to be remembered as one of the first people to climb and to get other people to climb as well. So I want this to maybe be somewhat my legacy. Okay, so to recap, I'm supposed to go through my Padlet and show you guys all the evidence, but I don't think you guys want to read all that. So let's do a quick rundown. This year, I spent probably around 500 hours climbing, though most of that was just chatting. $8,000 on gym memberships, shoes, trips, etc. Had a ton of fun climbing experiences, not just in the gym, but outside. 3 shoulder injuries, 2 finger injuries, lots of skin injuries, but I still climbed with them. And of course, the real top was the friends we made along the way. And I mean that seriously. These last 2 years of climbing have been life-changing, like actually. Not only did I finally get some well-needed exercise, I was able to make so many new friends along the way that made my experience climbing truly special, and I'm really grateful for that. Even when I move on to uni, I'm definitely gonna keep climbing, and maybe every time I come back to Hong Kong, I can keep in touch with everybody. I would like to thank my interviewees, Kevin J. Alec Crontis, my fellow THS climbers, and also non-THS climbers. There are too many to list, but you know who you are. And I would like to thank my parents for financing all of this, and my physio for getting me uninjured every time I did something stupid. And thank you for keep listening to me for so long. Questions? Should I just pick people or? There's a mic. Wait 1 sec.
Yeah. So, is this thing on? Huh? It's not on. Oh, okay. So back to my question. Are you planning to pursue other types of like climbing in the future and stuff like that?
So I'm gonna be going to university in Canada, and there's a lot more rock climbing outdoors there than there are indoors, and there's also a lot more space.
Oh, that's great.
One of the things I haven't tried yet is actually lead climbing, as I mentioned, rope climbing, and there's actually climbing gym with that at my university, so I'm planning on trying that.
Another question. Sorry. Are you planning to like also climb any sort of like large mountains and stuff like that? Any major mountains you're planning to like tackle in the future?
One of my bucket list items is to climb a big wall. So if you guys know like Yosemite or like, I don't know, the Grand Canyon, there are these massive cliff faces, thousands of feet in height that you can climb. And it will involve me camping off of a rope on the side of a mountain, but I think it'll be really fun if I go do that sometime.
That's great.
All right, can you tell us more about your injuries, please?
So 3 shoulder dislocations. I had weakened them initially from wrestling, and I kept aggravating them when I was climbing. So I would like jump onto one arm, and then I wouldn't have the strength to hold on, and it would like pop my shoulder out. One of the falls you saw was actually the cause of one of the shoulder injuries. And a lot of pulley injuries along the way as well, or inflammations, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What motivates you to continue to climb despite the injuries and all the like things that you have to go through of climbing?
Honestly, I think it's an addiction. Like, I cannot go a week without climbing. At this point, maybe in the beginning it was the exercise or like the adrenaline rush, but right now I think I'm just addicted. It's a healthy one though.
Have you ever considered doing cross training for climbing?
Training in general or training other sports?
Training other sports?
I mean, I did a little bit of strength training for climbing, like calisthenics, weights, and whatnot, but I never really trained other sports. I guess some things would go in tandem with it, like, I mean, they make you climb up rope ladders for wrestling, maybe that. But no, not really.
One more question.
Okay.
Do you have any advice for like future or newer climbers? Like, do you have any advice for them?
I guess my advice for climbing, when you first start climbing, it is really humbling. You see videos of people climbing and it looks super easy, but it is way, way harder than it looks. So I would say, I guess, keep at it for at least a month and you'll see a lot of progress, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you do. And also cut your nails if you have long nails. I guess with no more time, that wraps things up. Thank you so much, guys.